Welcome to Tarot and Tea with Stephanie. This is your weekly energy wave and intuitive tarot forecast. In this sacred space, we ride the crest of the cosmic tides to gain the guidance and the wisdom of this week's currents. Creators, welcome to Creators on the Crest, where we rise with the tide and align with the truth. Today's tea for Tarot and Tea is a nice, warming ginger tea. It is just straight organic ginger, and what I did was add about 3 cloves, whole cloves, into the strainer to give it that little extra clove burst, because I so enjoyed the tea, the orange and clove from last week, that I had to have a little more clove, honey, and of course my collagen peptides, and it is absolutely delicious. I chose this tea for a very particular reason that has to do with the energies that are going on right now, which astrologically speaking are mutable. And mutability means that it's like a kaleidoscope of energies. There's many different changes, and one moment it's one way and you shake things up, and then it's another way and you turn this way and it looks different. So we are now going through these mutable energies, particularly a lot to do with the outer planets, and they're really going to be the kinds of energies that you will want to find some grounding and some foundation in. So in honor of the mutable energies, I'm at my stand-up desk today and just able to move around and be flexible. I'm going to start us off today with a brief channeled message, and today's message came through quick and succinct, and it really has to do with what we are learning right now, what we have learned, what we are learning, and what we're curious about. And I really feel like the mutable energies that are going on right now, which we'll talk about more in the psychic weather forecast, are affecting this particular area of our lives. So we're going through this transition where there's certain things we learned. Okay, the learning has been done. We've received the information, we've received the wisdom, we've worked on integrating it, and we've learned what we needed to learn. There can be this overlapping time where your focus may still be on what you've learned. It's kind of like this energy of, okay, I've learned this and now I'm comfortable with that knowledge and with that information, and so I'm good. I'm good. I'm going to stay here in this energy. But because we are facing a time in these mutable, flexible, adapting energies, we too are going to have to adapt. Really taking a look at your life and understanding what you've learned. It can be lessons in communication, lessons with boundaries, lessons in love and relationships. Consider those lessons learned and integrated. Some of these things want to close out, and I can feel the energy of some of us, myself included, holding on to some of the things that have already been learned. Therefore, it's just this amazing time to really get quiet so you can listen to your inner guidance system, and that may mean turning off the other stuff. For example, the mainstream news, the nightly news, the things that are going to be in that perpetual distractive energy. You've already learned what that's all about. You no longer need to spend time looking into that and seeing what's going on, because you've integrated that. And so your intuition, your instincts are already in the energy of you will know what you need to know when you need to know it. And there's this little bit of hesitancy to move on from some of the comfort zones that some of us may have been dealing with in what we've learned. But then also, there's this curiosity that's opening up. In these mutable energies, things will start to cross your path. Things will start to cause you to raise an eyebrow and give you more excitement around something you want to look into. remember, we're in right now, as I do this, channeling Sagittarius season. So we get excited. We want to explore. We want to look into things. And so there's things coming across your desk that you don't want to miss. All right. Now, the tricky part about this with all the mutable energies going on is that one thing will come by and you're like, wow, that's cool. Let me learn about that. Then another thing will come by. It can be a little challenging to anchor in some of the things you're interested in and make momentum toward those, which is what the Saturn energy would want you to do. We have a few square energies going on throughout the week that I'm going to talk about, and you'll start to see how this message all packages together with the astrology. So on the 9th, on December 9th, we've got Mars squaring Saturn. This brings a little bit of friction between desire, which is Mars, desire to take action, desire toward your goals, and boundaries and discipline, which is Saturn. We have one energy moving toward the action and the other one saying, well, we need boundaries. We need to be disciplined about this. And so as you are trying to make moves, you could experience some of your efforts being blocked and delayed. And this is what I mean about the learning. So this is where we're applying a new level of learning to our experiences and our day-to-day routines. We're learning how to be more flexible, how to refine our plans and our strategy. On the 10th, we have Neptune stationing direct in the final degree of Pisces, where we're in that 12th house energy. This is nice because it's clearing some of the mental fog. And as you are experiencing some of these transitional energies, you're going to be clear doing it, which is really, really nice. It is a beautiful time to sharpen your intuition. It's a beautiful time for connecting with your creative instincts. And perhaps that's something that some of you can really get curious about. So you may have all of this content designed, copy made. You may have a plan for your job, your career, where you're going, and the energies come in and they say, wait a minute, no, we need to change it up. So this is what I'm talking about us learning a new way. There have been things we have learned and integrated, and those have become a part of us now. So now we're learning in a whole new way. Some of you may even feel like your learning style has changed over the years. Some people are auditory learners, some people are visual, some people need repetition. In these energies, you may feel like you're outside of your normal learning style, which is really, really interesting. This Neptune stationing direct in Pisces is moving us toward this new year, toward 2026. And so the more you can flow in these mutable energies and build your strategies and plans with flexibility, the better off you're going to be, because things are going to be happening very rapidly. On the 12th, we have Mercury going back into Sagittarius, which is all about communication, future planning. So as you're hearing this channel message, if you haven't begun setting your goals for 2026 or coming up with your 3-month, 6-month, 9-month plans, now is just a really good time for that. It's a time where we can have a really good look at the big picture with the Sagittarius energy. We're seeing with that eagle's eye view, the higher vantage point, and we're able to kind of see the landscape. And while how we get to where we want to go in the landscape may change and we need to allow flexibility, we're going to get some clarity on that. On the 14th, we have Mars squaring Neptune, and this is kind of an energy of action meets flow. The motivation you have during this transit may be a bit dispersed. You could have desire to take action, but also you may feel drawn to escape into that bowl of ice cream, binging that Netflix series, that kind of thing. Really, the lesson here with Mars and Neptune squaring, the challenge that we're supposed to learn from is to be able to move from a place of clarity and not from forced action or illusion. And then on the 15th, Mars enters Capricorn. Now, I just want everybody to know this is where Mars is exalted in exalted energies. Ambition, structure, stamina, discipline. Saturn gets satisfied here. Long-term projects and how you can be efficient as you go. Remember, we're going to build in the flexibility as we go, but efficiency, actually maybe getting started on some of those projects or on some of your planning that you've been doing over the previous days and weeks is really going to amplify on the 15th. When I look at the 15th, I'm looking at that being like a good work day, a good day to get things done or to execute on something. Now, for the channeled message here to do with our learning, I was going into the transits, and then when we do the psychic weather, I'll get more into the mutable signs energy, and we'll talk a little bit more about that. We've got what we've learned. We've got what we're getting curious about learning now. We're going to begin to weave these things together into our goal setting and our planning. So to give you more context, let me give you a personal example. I have a degree in biology and certification in secondary education. Now, with what I do today, do I necessarily advertise that or have I really expounded on that? No. But these mutable energies are starting to say, wait a minute here. You know biology. You know about the physical body's responses to energy. You know about the energetics and the physiology of the body and how they work together. The universe, my greater being, we would like you to start blending that into your work. And oh, by the way, you have this ability to create curriculum. You can put courses together very easily. You have all the training and experience in that. You might not be teaching textbook science, but we're inviting you, there's an invitation here from the universe to blend these things together into what I do. So I am flexing, I am adapting here so that I can learn how to weave these things into tarot, into the archetypes of the tarot. Okay, creators, I was getting warm there, so I had to take the sweatshirt off. I really feel the energy moving, so I'm going to conclude the channeled message. I really feel like I've shared what needs to be shared. I would like each of you to work on applying that to your own life. What does it mean to you to integrate and be comfortable with what you've learned, moving on from that, getting curious about something else, and begin to weave everything together into your plan. Let me know in the comments what aspects of yourself or your experience, your knowledge, your wisdom, are you marrying, are you bringing together and weaving for this next part of your journey. And stay tuned here because we're going to get into a really cool tarot reading today. We're going to highlight 3 major arcana cards and then do little clarifications on those. Grab your tea and let's catch that wave. Creators, welcome to the tarot reading portion of this week's Tarot and Tea. I'm very excited to highlight 3 major arcana cards. We're just very simply going to do a 3-card spread with these and then get some clarifiers to help us build on the knowledge and wisdom that is the core foundation of each of these cards. I'm going to also select a rune for each of the 3 cards to help enhance and complete the full picture, because we're looking at the big picture here and we want to bring things all together. And the runes really have a way of putting that into definition for us, into language, into clarity. So I'm very, very excited to get into this. And we're going to start off with, and I'm referencing some of my notes and I'm going to show you the card. We're going to start off with talking about the Wheel of Fortune. And the Wheel of Fortune is the number 10 card. It's connected to Jupiter energy, which is expanding and big and ever-changing. The Wheel of Fortune is really something that represents our cyclical nature and how we move with the cycles. The Wheel of Fortune can also be seen as a card of good fortune, and I really like to perceive it as that. When it's not, it just means that someone is going against the grain, trying to swim upstream, or going against the flow. Especially for us right now, I feel like trying to control or having very rigid energy is not going to be the most auspicious way to go. So the more that you can embrace the movement of the wheel and just knowing that the wheel is constantly turning, and you don't want to try to stop it, you don't want to try to break it, you don't want to try to interfere with the way things are going. What you want to do is become an acute observer of the change, of the energies that are flowing through as time, as we know it, passes. In this way, and it's a good time for me to mention that these readings that I do are intended to also be timeless so that you can gain that timeless wisdom. And the Wheel of Fortune is actually bringing up for me here a timeless wisdom that is being expanded upon. So those of you that have tuned into this message, you may sense and feel that as you gain more and more clarity over the coming weeks. The second card we're going to have a look at is the Hanged Man. The Hanged Man is connected to Piscean energy. Pisces is connected to 12th house energy in astrology. Pisces and the Hanged Man offer us a new way of looking at things. Now, you'll notice that the character, the archetype of the Hanged Man, is hanging upside down. And there's very much a surrendered energy to the way the Hanged Man is positioned, with the hands behind the back. We've got the legs in the 4 position, kind of with the one leg crossed over the other. In fact, for those of you who like to do stretches, the reverse pigeon pose from yoga, or where you stretch the hips and glutes by crossing that leg over, could be really helpful way to release any stuck energy right now, especially if you feel stuck holding on to the old. The Hanged Man is not a forced type of action. It's very much an active energy that is in surrender, in observation, in reflection. And the Pisces energy, at the time I'm doing this reading, I had mentioned the Neptune stationing direct in the final degree of Pisces. This is a beautiful time for us to apply this. You can apply the wisdom of the Hanged Man anytime, of course, since this is intended to be timeless. But just for those of you listening, as I have put out this message, this is a beautiful time for you to be in this energy. Now, if you start to feel yourself being stuck, or you feel like you're stuck, or you feel like you're stagnated, you may just be changing your relationship to this energy. You may actually not be stuck. You may be going through a very important rite of passage. So as Pisces is the 12th sign and the 12th house, and then we cycle back into Aries, which is first house energy, this would indicate a review, a reflection, kind of like a life review of you looking at your life up until this point. And perhaps you're finding resolution with some of the things that you once felt stuck about. The third and final major arcana card that we're going to go into today, of course, is connected to Sagittarius energy, and it's the Temperance card. And the Temperance card is lovely because it affords us that wonderful patience and diligence that we're looking for as we have to be flexible and have to move around obstacles and problem solve. It is really a beautiful alchemical blending of all the shifting energies in these mutable signs that we're dealing with, or perhaps you yourself carry mutable sign energy. So just to remind everybody, mutable signs are Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. So if you have those aspects in your chart, take a look at what's going on in those areas. The Temperance card is the kind of energy that assists us with finding a new center. Emphasis on the word new, because we are closing out old cycles. And remember, I felt some of you still like grasping on, right, to the old. This is about finding our new center. And it might be one that has a bit more movement. The center may move or pivot around its axis. So keep that in mind. This is an analogy of what the energy may feel like. Let's get some clarifiers. Let's get into this. I'm going to pull this Wheel of Fortune forward. And today I have this wonderful deck by Dan Francis called the Hyde Tarot, a beautiful black and white deck with really interesting, very, very interesting images. And I just love the unique aspect that these cards offer. Okay. Oh, well, I think we got them all here. I was going to get 3 cards to clarify the Wheel of Fortune here. So let me see what we got. Ooh, interesting. We have a progression here of energies, and of course we have a challenge. So when we think about the Wheel of Fortune here being expansion, the wheel turning, and remember how I said we don't want to try to control the wheel. We did get the Siren, which is the Devil card in this deck, which is our Capricorn energy, right? It serves a purpose at times, but I feel like coming up here with the Wheel of Fortune and clarifying, it really is about us being challenged to let go control, all right? That can be very difficult when you're trying to budget, you're trying to plan, you're trying to get things done. To some degree, you want to have control over these things. But with the Wheel of Fortune energy, with Jupiter and the expansion that we're going through right now, holding on too tightly to how things go and the inability to let go of things that have bothered us is definitely going to throw a stick in the cog. It's going to slow things down. It's going to cause the wheel to grind. In this way, we are being challenged to get out of the way of the wheel. Let it turn. Observe its motion. Begin to flow with it. You know, I've really been drawn to Qigong and Tai Chi and yoga flow lately. The flowing exercises are so helpful. Some of you may like something a little more intense, like you may want to dance flow or do some hula hooping, but these movements, right? And getting comfortable with movements and maybe even just getting some time by ourselves to put on our favorite song and just dance in an out of control way would be really fun and helpful, because that Devil card energy, it's the energy of structure and control, and I want to hold on and I want things to go this way, and if it doesn't go that way, I'm going to grind against it, and then that's going to slow things down. Now, the Wheel of Fortune is also showing us some very interesting things. I'm feeling the connection into the Hanged Man energy and the Temperance card, okay, because the Hanged Man is about surrender, the Devil card is not. The Temperance card is about patience. And we got 2 Pentacle cards here, and they are in a progression. We're moving from the Knight of Pentacles to the King of Pentacles. This is reassuring to me. It gives me comfort that while things might feel a little slow and might require us to be patient, we are going to reach the stability that we're looking for. So the Knight of Pentacles in this particular deck is represented by what's called the disguise. And it's one of those leaf bugs that you can't tell it's a leaf bug because it looks like a leaf. And this is very much the mutable energies. They have a chameleon property to them. One moment something grabs your attention and then it changes, right? So if we're holding on too tightly, if we're trying to control things in too overly rigid of a way, we're going to struggle. So the Knight of Pentacles as the disguise, look at that. What a cool card. And so if you'll just look carefully, there's a leaf bug on a leaf. This kind of energy teaches us to focus, to pay attention, to really work on that clarity coming through. Perhaps some of us feel like we don't even recognize ourselves anymore. We're a different person at this point in the year than we were even 6 months ago. Definitely different than we were at the start of 2025. This energy comes in and says, you may even feel like, oh, I feel like a chameleon. I feel like I'm wearing a disguise. But really, what actually is happening here is you're evolving into a new version of yourself. And it's a version of yourself that's much more connected, that has clarity with what's going on around it, and is adapting and overcoming obstacles as they go. What I also like about the leaf bug and the way that this is portrayed is that it gives me the sense that we are protected in these energies, which is really nice because mutable and mutability is change, and it's about being flexible, and that can be scary sometimes. So knowing that you are camouflaged in these energies is nice. The Knight of Pentacles himself is a strategist, so he's not the knight that's going to run into the battle, swords flying, that's another knight's job. The Knight of Pentacles is really looking at the full playing field here and getting comfortable with that change. And the fact that it's leading into the King of Pentacles is so relieving. The King of Pentacles in this deck is represented by the fossil. So what this tells me is that those of us who are in tune with this work, in tune with the energies, we're going to be fossilizing a new level of wisdom around changing energies. Our relationship to change and the way things change is changing. It's up leveling. The King indicates we become masterful and we begin to figure out how to find stability amongst these changing energies and these incredibly fast-moving and changing times. This is where we find the moment to take a deep inhale. Let's do it right now. And a big exhale. The King of Pentacles does not have to run around like a chicken with its head cut off, chasing down everything. It's recognizing the energies, working with them, and flowing into the next and flowing into the next. It's weaving that in and then weaving the next thing in, and then your attention goes over here and you bring it all back together. The King of Pentacles indicates to me that we are becoming master energetic weavers. Wow, that's really cool. Is it easy? Oh, heck no. It's not easy at all, okay? It sounds beautiful, but we're really going to have to let go, control, in order to do this. And that very first card, the Devil card, lets us know, guess what? Boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to have to let go in order to really flow with this energy and trust that wheel. Trust that your weavings and what's being woven by the universal energies is evolutionary, it's to your advantage, and that no matter how messy everything looks around here, find that stability within, and that's where we're moving. I'm going to use this cute little mushroom rune set. Oh my goodness, I love this so much. I got it on Etsy, I think. Some really wonderful artists on Etsy. And we're going to get a rune for this Wheel of Fortune. And the rune we got, let me put it up close, is called Kenaz. And this means torchlight. This is knowledge. So remember, I was talking about the knowledge that we've gained and an illumination within. This is that energy. The information and the knowledge and the experiences we gained are now illuminating within us. We are having revelations about our path. We are able to step into inspiration and that creative insight. Kinaz also serves as a guiding light. You could even imagine it pointing true north for you. It lights your way toward true north, and it allows you to harness your power. What's really cool about Kinaz is I feel that it encourages us to become those lighthouses within ourselves, in and of ourselves, which brings new strength, new energy, new power, and new passion. So Kinaz is a lovely sign and symbol of a beacon, a torch, a lighthouse, your true north. And it's a wonderful rune to work with, especially if you ever feel like you're lacking that direction or that guidance. We're going to move on next to getting some additional clarifiers for the Hanged Man. The Hanged Man energy can be uncomfortable at first. It is a surrender. It basically is like that cosmic voice that says, hey, bro, sis, relax it down, reflect. And so let's get some helper cards here that might assist us with moving into this position of surrender so that we can make the most of it. It's really interesting because the Hanged Man to me always comes across as an energy that is able to be maximized the more we surrender into it. I'll just point out the illumination around the crown of the archetype of the Hanged Man here. And our Hanged Man today is giving us some really interesting opportunities here. First of all, the Six of Swords comes up here, represented in this Hide Tarot by the lily pad. And to me, this is speaking to a softening. Look how the hand is brushing the top of the lily pad. This is like butter being warmed, okay? This Six of Swords is a mental relaxation. It allows us to soften rigid ideas, stressful energies. We're softening those so that we can see through to the higher wisdom. I love how lily pads are connected to lotus flowers. They're connected to frog energies, right? Imagine like a frog sitting on a lily pad, often depicted that way. What a beautiful vision or a totem for your opening, your softening. The lotus flower opens vulnerably. I'm feeling a lot of feminine energy here, opening up. The frog, the amphibian, they breathe through the skin, very sensitive, sensitivities expanding, opening up in this surrender. So of all the swords cards for us to get in clarification, this one is reassuring. And if you're going to be hanging upside down and letting all that beautiful blood flow go to your mind, you want to make the most of it. You want to soften into those energies and deepen into them. And we are being reminded to deepen into the energies. We've got the bull in this deck representing the moon. So we have a bit of Taurus energy. This would indicate that we are meant to become comfortable in this reflection, in this surrender. In fact, I would say some of the most astute spiritual leaders, all right? And I'm not just talking about ones who you think are popular, right? I'm talking about spiritual leaders who you may or may not know of, are able to maximize this Hanged Man energy by digging in and getting comfortable in it. Because it can feel a bit uncomfortable at first if you're not used to it. The bull presents a little bit of a challenge here because if we're stubbornly resisting downtime, pauses, redirects, then that could present a challenge coming in with the moon. That could be a bit of a shadow energy. talking to us. Maybe this could be the energy where you think back to the Wheel of Fortune and the Kinaz rune and you shine some light in some of these areas of resistance. I also feel a deep connection to an inner trust here, and that's some of the wisdom and the power that's being born out of this energy with the Hanged Man, the Six of Swords, the Moon, the depth, the shadow is highly, highly powerful, bringing you, like you think about the big bull and the power of the bull. And when they move with this newfound comfort in these energies, that's an extremely powerful force. Let me know in the comments, when do you feel most empowered? When do you feel like your power meter is high? Have you felt that way after times of exploring your shadow and excavating something, maybe even healing something? What's beautiful about this energy too is we have the unique opportunity. So yay, those of you listening to this reading, yay, hurrah, because we got the Four of Wands, Amber. We are going to be able to capture this energy like the mosquito captured in the amber here, the bug captured in amber. Amber may be an absolutely lovely resin or stone for you to work with. The colors, the texture of amber necklaces that you can wear. I might even put mine on after this. It might be a really lovely, lovely energy for you to work with as you soften into this illumination that the universe is calling you toward. And there's the opportunity to solidify this highest aspect of the Hanged Man energy, the surrender energy, solidify it inside yourself moving forward. Remember back in the channel message, I was talking about acknowledging what we've already integrated. This is the new integration. Through all of our changing experiences, we are going to be able to capture this illumination and this new information. This is a part of our learning, and it's going to be something that I feel like is studied for quite some time down the road, perhaps even generationally is what I get here. So you could be incorporating things and solidifying things into your psyche, into your being, into your genetics. That is wisdom that will now be passed down to future generations. Let's get a rune, another rune for the Hanged Man. Okay, this one wants to come out. And we got the rune Awaz. It kind of looks like a Z a bit, or I can kind of turn it a little bit here, like we're going to draw arrows, but they're only halfway completed, one on each side there, one on each end. And it represents the yew tree. This is a rune of communication. Like I said, this could be something that gets passed down in the generations. This could be about telling your story, solidifying your learnings and your wisdom for the future generations. This is also about death and regenerative cycles. It's about knowledge that you have incorporated. There's also an element of magic and a dreamy quality. So we have a bit more Pisces energy coming here with Awaz. And it's spelled Eihwaz. So very connected to the Hanged Man energy. Awaz also comes through with a bit of a driving force and asks you to go ahead and set sights on your goals and what you do want to solidify in your story, what you're going to be remembered by. All of that is coming up in this energy with Awaz. And honestly, it feels very satisfying. It feels very accomplished. All right, last but not least, let's move into the Temperance card energy here. Our Sagittarius energy, the energy of patience and being calculated and being adaptable. Let's see what the universe would like us to know about the Temperance card. A little more information on how we can possibly be at peace with some of these energies here. Whew. It's taking a very spiritual turn here. The first thing that I want to acknowledge here as to what's being clarified by the Temperance card, we got the Five of Pentacles. And it's represented in this deck by the eye, and the eye is tearing up. The Temperance card would ask us to be patient with our emotional processing. The Temperance card would ask us to allow the flow. The Five of Pentacles coming up also indicates a certain level of healing of betrayal that has taken some time. But you may finally feel free of those bonds of betrayal. There may be an element here of forgiveness coming in with the Temperance card and this energy of the Five of Pentacles, forgiving yourself, forgiving someone else, and finally being free. For some of you, I feel like it's energy that has really had a grasp on you, and because the cycle of forgiveness was not yet complete, that is what was interfering and causing you to want to control things out of a means of self-preservation. So the Five of Pentacles comes up and says, this all has purpose. The forgiveness and the release is very, very important. So think about the person, the situation that you need to forgive, even if it's yourself, and really go into that state of radical self-forgiveness. It's not just saying I'm sorry to someone. It goes deeper than that. It's not just about saying I'm sorry to yourself. It goes deeper than that. It truly is incorporating a sense of unconditional love into the forgiveness. Not the easiest thing either. See how we are changing our relationship to challenges and obstacles that we encounter here. That is what all of this mutable energy is about that we're looking into. Now we got the Hierophant with the skull. I love this because this Hierophant allows us to kind of take it down to the bare bones. This is like bare bones spirituality, your connectedness. Temperance card is represented by an angel. This is your connection to spirit at the core level, the bare bones level. There's also an intensity coming through this particular Hierophant. The Hierophant is the number 5 card, but above the skull we have a crown of 7 stars. 5s and 7s are coming up quite a bit here. We're going to see it when I look into the psychic weather forecast too, because that came up there. Change and momentum with the 7, challenge with the 5. But seeing as the Hierophant is the 5 card, but the wreath of stars at the crown is 7, this means that we have moved through something. This is spiritual authority that we're able to embody and we're able to move with now because we have processed that level of forgiveness that was needed. It took a lot of patience, a lot of time. Some of us may still be wrapping up the final bit of energy around that, but all of this has purpose in bringing us into our higher spiritual evolutionary path. And then we have the 7 of Pentacles represented by the mouse here. And the 7, remember I said, is the movement, it's change, it's momentum. These things are coming in, and sometimes some of the biggest changes come in quietly. Just take note of that. There may be something that kind of sneaks in. It sneaks in the middle of the night, in the middle of your dreams, and you wake up with more awareness. You wake up with an understanding that you didn't have before, in particular with your relationship to change and adaptability. That's what this is all about. There is a time and a place for rigidity and structure and by the book and discipline, right? There's time and place for that. There are environments where that can make for a beneficial operation, but that's not what we're working with here. We're leaning into the parts of us that evolve, that mutate, that change. We're becoming the X-men and the X-women of the world. And this is what we're nurturing through the Seven of Pentacles. This is what we're growing. This is what we're growing and evolving into. And evolution waits for no one. Let's get a rune to close off the Temperance card and the clarifying messages. All right. Whew, this one came right out. It's really interesting as to what this rune is, and that it actually on the top of this has a bit of a little notch here in the wood that did not get fully carved out or sanded down. This rune is Turisaz, Thurisaz, Turisaz, and this means thorn or giant. It's often connected to Thor energy. It is very much about protection, but it also is a destructive force, which is very interesting. There may be aspects of ourselves that we are allowing to disintegrate because they were too rigid. Turisaz has the ability to really be a regenerative catalyst. Okay, it will get things moving. So this energy feels nice coming in with the Temperance card. I think it'll bring a little bit of momentum that'll have you all feeling like you're on the upbeat. It is connected to change and purging and cleansing. It's also deeply connected to your will force. And so your ability to actually take action through this state of radical self-responsibility and forgiveness and authority is strengthening with Turisaz coming in here. Turisaz is probably one of my favorite runes. It's one of the first runes I worked with deeply. There's a whole lot of power in it. One quick note on the runes that I wanted everybody to know: they're not toys. They're not a game. They're not to be trifled with. The rune energies are a deep and ancient language, and they have a power and energy. So as you work with these, the energies of the Hanged Man is very nice to bring in, because you're going to be really working with them, reflecting with these runes, getting to know them. For many of us who have Norse ancestry, Germanic ancestry, European ancestry, it's very important for us to reconnect with these energies. But you don't have to have that kind of ancestry. Each culture has its own set of ancient language symbols. So I encourage you, whatever your heritage is, to go deeper in to those symbols, and I guarantee you some of them are going to mirror and have reflections to some of the ones we've seen today. So the rune energy is to be used very responsibly. The Hierophant would speak to that. It's about the responsible authority, the responsible use of your energy and your power. So do keep that in mind when you're working with the runes. Because of all the Pisces energy and Pisces being connected to the shamanic energies of being able to bring the spiritual and the physical together, I want to work with the Shaman Stream Oracle for our final oracle message today. And we got the number 63 card, Winter's Dream, Gestation Period. Wow, this goes along really, really nicely with, for some of us in the Northern Hemisphere, the season. But for those of you down under, don't worry, you can apply this as it speaks to you. A gestation period. This is a time that matches up with that Hanged Man energy, where we can look at how that wheel is turning differently. We can have patience with our knowledge, our understanding, our learning, and perhaps even others. What are these new changing energies helping you see differently? And this gestation period, this overwinter, where you're coming up with a plan, but it's very flexible, it's very alive, it's very mutable. Where will you bump into some of the solidness that you're carrying, some of the ice, the glacier that may need to be softened and warmed? We have a beautiful spiral of creation here showing up in this card as well. Some of you may feel like, oh, nothing's happening. I'm not doing anything. There may be those moments for some of you because you're in a different energy. You're relating to the energies differently. You're relating to change differently. Things that we once looked at as indicators of change and progress are changing. They're adapting, and we're adapting to the way that the energies are flowing and changing around us. And that's universal alignment. That is what we want. Creators, what an interesting way to dive into 3 very powerful major arcana cards. Definitely let me know in the comments, did one stick out to you above the others? Was there a particular message or a particular symbol or totem that really spoke to you? I love hearing about your experiences in the comments. If you haven't already, please put a thumbs up on this video. It really helps me in those YouTube algorithms, and it really helps with our growth and expansion in adding more creators to our community. Stay tuned because we're going to go into the psychic weather forecast next. Welcome to your psychic weather forecast for December 9th, 2025 through December 16th, 2025. So creators, I promised that I would really get into the mutable energy and blend that into the psychic weather, keeping in mind the mutable signs again are Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. You're going to want to look at those sign placements and house placements in your own chart to help reveal to you where you might really be focusing these energies. The mutable sign energies are about transition, adaptation, endings, and flow into new beginnings. For December, some of the mutable sign energy you might be picking up on will be Uranus and Jupiter in retrograde in Gemini. So there's that Gemini energy. This represents a lot of radical change about how we think and how we communicate. With Jupiter retrograding back into Gemini from Cancer, back into Gemini on or around December 5th, this will expand our need to review new ideas, conversations, and inspirations that we had earlier in the year. So remember in the initial channeling, I talked about some of you will be weaving in things that you've already learned. This is exactly that energy. We have Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. This is the dissolving of boundaries and structures, that rigidity that we've talked about. Saturn, of course, demands that we're like the drill sergeant, spiritual discipline, get it together, get a plan. While Neptune is more of a flow energy connected to Pisces. It's going to mid-month, so about the time I'll be doing the next tarot and tea, Neptune is turning direct. That's where I think a lot of the fog and illusion is going to clear. So you're very close to gaining clarity. If you're still feeling fogged in, don't worry. That fog is going to lift with this energy. We've got the Sun, Mercury, and the new moon in Sagittarius. So we have a new moon in Sagittarius. I'll be probably talking about that on the next tarot and tea. And this leads us into drive and a vision toward future and the big picture. It allows us to see the way that we're going to weave what we've learned into what we're learning for a whole new tapestry to be created. And lastly, we have the lunar nodes in Pisces and Virgo. These are destiny points. Being in mutable signs, they are going to highlight a collective shift from rigid perfectionism, which is the Virgo energy, into spiritual flow, which is the Pisces energy. Now, all of this together, we're going to see the collective landscape change. So be ready because you're going to see a lot happening. What I feel is cresting with this week's psychic weather is that very public figures and the big picture of certain people, public people's involvement in things is going to come to light. There's going to maybe be some takedowns and some takeouts in that arena. I would say your job is to find your foundation, find your center in all that, drink your ginger tea. Don't grab the popcorn, grab the ginger tea so you can ground and stay rooted in your foundational energies. And what some of you might be even more excited about than what's on the collective stage and in that effects field is the fact that timelines, I really got the sense timelines are going to be revealed. You're going to have more of an understanding of timeless nature and how you travel and weave your way on one timeline and it weaves with another. You can start to perceive things happening all at once. So because of the mutable energies cresting this week, the art of being flexible and flowing with your planning, okay, so whether it's plans to get together with friends, what to have for dinner, you're making a goal for next year, you're looking at the next 12 months where you want to be, where you want to end up, be flexible. You want to have strategy, yes, but you want strategy that breathes. On the flip side of that, the energies that are calming and that are diminishing are the energies of rigidity and that tight control on things. Structures that have no give. And the analogy that I got was like the buildings that the architects in Japan build that actually go like this during an earthquake. They weave back and forth. They don't crumble because they're not rigidly built. They have the ability to flex so that they can maintain during earthquakes, and it's very earthquake prone in that area of the world. That's how we want to build our plans for our goals, our strategy. Make sure it has some flexibility to it. People that are set in their ways. Now watch out for this. Whoever is popping into your mind when I say stubborn people who are set in their ways, they're either going to have to be quiet during this time or they will be shut down. There's an opportunity for people that are in that real rigid kind of approach to life to reassess. But if they're unwilling to do that, they could end up having a really difficult time and therefore get very frustrated and bring the people around them down. So I just want everyone to be aware, if you imagine someone in your life who's very rigid, the brittleness of their energy is going to be even stronger this week. And you may want to steer clear of that. Some really nice positive affirmations that you can have, and they're very simple. The first one is, I adapt, period. I adapt. Secondly, I overcome, period. I overcome. And lastly, I bend so that I do not break. I bend so that I do not break. And all of those affirmations feed into that flexibility. The actions that you can take. Number one, detach from rigid people and structures. Give yourself space from that. As you plan your next year, your next 3, 6, 9, 12 months, however you plan out, even 6 weeks, you're going to want to have a flexible approach and energy that you feed into that. You want to build in time and space for yourself to reflect. So as your goal setting, build in reflection time, reassessment time, build in some of this illumination time with the Hanged Man. Checkpoints and milestones I think will be important because there may be times you're going to want to pivot throughout executing on your plan. You can also incorporate this very physically in the sense of when you're doing your daily walk, just take a different route, take a different path. You can also do this if you have errands to run. Maybe you take the route less traveled. Maybe you take the back roads a little bit. Be flexible. Trust your intuition and trust your instincts. Now, instead of going through my normal psychic weather cards here, none of them were really giving me the vibe and the feel that I wanted. So I got 2 cards from the Sacred Geometry of Activations Oracle that I think are really, really going to be helpful. So it's interesting because there's a little play on numbers here. And it's not 6, 7. We had 63 for the Oracle card. And for these 2 cards, we got 23, 43. So we have 23, 43, 63. 23 is the 5. 2 plus 3 is 5. 43 is the 7. 4 plus 3 is 7. 63 is the 9. 6 plus 3 is 9. So if for those of you that like to run with that numerology, have a little fun with this. The first card is dynamic. This is the weather forecast, all right? I can't really tell you, is it going to be sunny? Is it going to be cloudy? Is it going to be snowy? Is it going to be rainy? Energetically, because it's going to be like a kaleidoscope, changing so much. And this card says the frequency of dynamic energy supports our ability to harmonize between layers and aspects of different origin and frequency. It helps us to put together a reality that is made up of many different elements, both familiar and completely new. Remember the weaving I was talking about. And it allows us to do so with ease, grace, and joy. Take a look at that card. Oh, I love the image on this one. It's like a kaleidoscope. Do you guys ever have those little kaleidoscopes? So a lot of weaving, a lot of overlapping types of energies of what you've already learned and what you are learning now. The number 43 card, representing transitional energies, is the frequency of transition supports our deep understanding of the ever-changing nature of existence and our lives, literally evolution, so that we can learn to let go, to release and surrender. Remember the Hanged Man energy. We let go and we release and let the wheel do its job, the Wheel of Fortune. We surrender in the Hanged Man energy. And we allow the transition to occur with ease and flow and grace. The Temperance card, flowing back and forth. And we kind of have this little spiral galaxy looking image here. Transition. It will be interesting to see what the actual weather is like amongst all these changing mutable energies. It could be that one area will experience many different temperatures or many different things, hot and cold fronts coming through. Just bear witness to your own world and your own evolution in this, and don't forget to be flexible and adaptable. That is the main message for Tarot and Tea this week. Creators, if today's wave brought you clarity, like and share this with your spiritual circle. Check out more ways to work with me and connect with me in the description. Be sure to set your notification bell to all so you never miss another Tarot and Tea. And say it with me, creators. Stay tuned, stay true, and keep creating.